Awakening made you tired of people. Carl Jung says it's a sign of this deeper shift. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Carl Jung. Have you ever wondered why awakening feels so lonely? Why the more conscious you become, the more distant you feel from the world around you? You're not broken, you're evolving. In this video, we'll explore a powerful truth Carl Jung understood deeply. When you outgrow illusions, you often outgrow people too. But this isn't a loss. It's a sacred shift back to your true self. If you felt the exhaustion of pretending, the silence after walking away, or the strange peace that follows it all, you're exactly where you need to be. Comment below and share your experience. Have you felt this shift? And don't forget to subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom so you never miss these soul-deep conversations. 1. Carl Jung's concept of individuation explains loneliness. Carl Jung called it individuation, the sacred and often painful journey of becoming who you truly are by releasing who the world conditioned you to be. But no one tells you how raw it feels. It's not a grand revelation filled with light and joy. It's a slow shedding, a quiet unraveling. As the false self dissolves, along with all the identities, roles, and performances you adopted to feel safe, you begin to lose your sense of belonging in the very spaces that once defined you. Relationships shift. The people who once felt like home now feel foreign. You hear their words, but they echo hollow in your chest. You're not angry with them. You're not better than them. You've just stopped betraying your own soul to fit into a life that no longer reflects your truth. That's what nobody prepares you for the grief that comes with spiritual awakening. Because it's not just about gaining awareness. It's about watching everything that once held you together begin to fall apart. You'll sit among old friends and feel like a stranger. You'll smile because you remember how, not because you feel like it. And all the while, your soul quietly whispers for depth, for truth, for something real. You'll begin to notice that the things you used to brush off now feel unbearable, and the discomfort you used to numb now screams to be heard. But in that discomfort, spiritual wisdom blooms. Carl Jung believed this internal death was not the end, but the beginning proof that your soul is waking up. And when your soul begins to wake up, your entire energy recalibrates. You stop chasing what drains you. You lose interest in empty conversations, approval seeking, and the exhausting need to be understood. It's not arrogance, it's survival. You pull back, not because you've grown cold, but because the noise has become unbearable. Your spirit longs for silence, for honesty, for peace. You begin to realize that solitude is not the same as loneliness. It's where you meet yourself again, where your nervous system, fried from years of pleasing, proving, and performing, finally begins to rest. And in that stillness, you start to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. I once knew a woman who was the life of every room. She was praised for her brightness, her kindness, her ability to carry everyone else's weight. But she told me that every time she left a gathering, she felt emptier than before. So one day, she stopped. She deleted the group chats. She started journaling, meditating, walking alone without her phone. Friends accused her of being distant, cold, and selfish. But in truth, she was simply coming home to herself. She wasn't losing her light. She was reclaiming it. That's what awakening looks like. It's subtle, often invisible to the outside world, but it changes everything. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But that privilege doesn't come without cost. It requires the death of who you are not. It asks you to question everything: your friendships, your values, even your own emotions. Suddenly, the love you once clung to reveals itself as codependency. The laughter you once shared feels like armor. And the life you worked so hard to build no longer fits the soul that's emerging. You don't just mourn people. You mourn versions of yourself. The one who tolerated chaos, who swallowed her truth, who abandoned herself in the name of harmony. You grieve for the years spent sleeping through life, numb and disconnected, chasing validation instead of freedom. And yet, in that grief, there is sacred beauty. Every tear waters the roots of a more authentic existence. Every quiet moment becomes a bridge back to your essence. And as you shed layers, what once felt like loneliness becomes solitude. What once felt like silence becomes sanctuary. What once felt like loss becomes the most honest freedom you've ever known. Spiritual wisdom teaches you to hold the paradox, to feel whole but alone, clear but unseen, heavy but more alive than ever. The ache in your heart is not something to fix. It's space being cleared for something holy. You are being called into higher alignment, toward people who don't drain you, but fill you, toward conversations that don't distract, but heal, toward love that doesn't require a performance, but welcomes your presence. And though the path is narrow, though your heart may ache and your mind may doubt, every step you take toward truth is a step back to your soul. That's the real awakening, not a dream, not a vision, but a deep remembering that who you truly are was never lost, only buried beneath the noise. Comment below. I choose authenticity. If you're ready to embrace your individuation journey and let go of who you were told to be. 2. Awakening changes your frequency and creates emotional distance. Spiritual awakening does not begin with fireworks or fanfare. It begins with quiet tension, a discomfort you can't name, a sense that something no longer fits, like a shirt you've worn your whole life that suddenly itches your skin. You sit in a room with familiar faces, hear familiar laughter, but something inside you doesn't rise to meet it anymore. It isn't superiority. It isn't judgment. It's something deeper, a dissonance between your soul and your surroundings. Conversations that once felt like home now feel like foreign languages. You try to stay present, to be who you've always been, but your spirit recoils at the effort. You're not aligned with that old emotional wavelength anymore. And no matter how much you try to squeeze yourself back into that mold, something within resists. It's not rejection of people, it's recognition of self. This recognition isn't loud, but it's powerful. It reveals itself in how your body reacts to surface-level talk. Gossip that used to entertain you now makes your heart sink. Complaints that used to connect you to others now feel like poison in your energy field. You begin to notice the noise, not the volume of people's voices, but the emptiness within their words. People speak, but they say nothing. You listen, but there's no nourishment. You nod politely, but inside, your soul grows restless. It isn't about being better than anyone. It's about being attuned to something deeper, something more real. Your soul is craving truth, depth, resonance, and you can't find that in small talk or social performance. You're starting to see that you were never meant to just fit in. You were meant to wake up. This shift brings with it an emotional distance. It feels like you're drifting, but you're not drifting away from people. You're being called back to yourself. This inward pull is not isolation, it's initiation. You are being stripped of roles, identities, and attachments that no longer serve the truth of who you are. It feels like loss, but it's alignment. The more you step into your truth, the more the world you once knew begins to fall away, not because it's wrong, but because it no longer matches your vibration. Carl Jung wrote, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important." And that's exactly what happens when you start to speak a different emotional language, one that only a few will understand. That language is presence, truth, soul. You begin to notice who depletes your energy and who amplifies your light, who only hears your words and who feels your meaning, who connects to your past and who sees your future. There is a sacred space that opens between who you were and who you're becoming, and at first, it feels like a void. But in truth, it is a sanctuary, a womb between identities, the stillness before the storm of transformation. And even though this space can feel unbearably quiet, unbearably empty, it is in this silence that your soul begins to breathe. You're not falling apart, you're falling inward. And in that falling, you are being reborn. Your nervous system is shedding years of chaos disguised as connection. Your spirit is learning that peace is not something you have to earn through performance. It is your natural state. You no longer chase love that makes you question your worth. You no longer tolerate relationships that demand you shrink to be accepted. This is not bitterness. This is clarity. You're no longer available for anything that disturbs your frequency. You are no longer at the mercy of environments that force you to betray your truth for the sake of fitting in. You are not retreating from the world. You are simply redefining the terms under which you allow the world to enter your life. Let the silence linger. Let the distance stretch. Let loneliness refine you. Because every disconnection is a sacred invitation to reconnect with yourself, with your soul, with truth. You are not breaking down. You are breaking through. You are not alone. You are alone with purpose. You are shedding illusions, removing noise, and preparing for the rare kind of connection that honors who you truly are. One day, the people who meet you will not meet the mask. They will meet your frequency. They will not respond to your words. They will respond to your presence. They will not reflect who you were. They will mirror who you've become. And until that moment arrives, honor the distance. It is not a punishment. It is your awakening. Have you ever noticed your relationship shifting after a spiritual awakening? If so, share your experience in the comments. Your story might help someone feel less alone. And if you're still navigating that emotional distance, comment below. I'm learning to honor my new frequency to affirm your journey. Let's grow together in this space of truth and transformation. 3. The real drain is not people. It's pretending to be someone you're not. You're not tired because the world is unkind. You're tired because your spiritual essence is no longer willing to be edited just to fit in. There comes a point in every awakening journey when your soul refuses to keep playing the role it never auditioned for. You've spent years being agreeable, staying quiet to avoid conflict, shaping yourself into someone digestible so others could be comfortable. You've laughed at jokes that made your spirit wince, nodded in conversations that didn't align with your truth, smiled when all you really wanted was space to breathe. This kind of exhaustion doesn't come from social burnout. It comes from spiritual betrayal. It's the fatigue of constantly choosing peace on the outside while there's a war inside. You're not withdrawing from people because you dislike them. You're stepping back because you finally started listening to the deeper voice within the one that's been whispering, "This isn't who you are." Carl Jung once said that individuation is the process by which a person becomes a psychological individual, that is, a separate, indivisible unity, or whole. That process, though beautiful in theory, is brutal in practice. It's the collapse of false identities, the crumbling of old patterns, the slow peeling away of the masks you wore to feel accepted. The pain isn't in the change, it's in the resistance to it. Your nervous system, long trained to seek safety through validation, now rebels when you choose truth over performance. You feel the tension in your body when someone expects the old version of you, the one who always said yes, who always showed up, who kept the peace at any cost. But your spirit has evolved. It has grown beyond those survival strategies. And with that growth comes discomfort. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're finally doing what's right for you. It's confusing at first. You cancel plans, and the guilt creeps in. You say no, and your mind races with imaginary explanations. You choose stillness over stimulation, and suddenly the silence feels deafening. But that silence is sacred. That loneliness is not a void. It's clarity. You're no longer leaking your energy into performances that feed others, but starve you. You're no longer giving fragments of yourself away, just to earn a seat at tables you don't even want to be at. What's falling away isn't connection, it's codependency. What's dissolving isn't love, it's attachment based on roles you were never meant to play. And yes, people will be confused. They've built expectations around the character you used to play, not the person you actually are. But you owe them no explanation for your healing. Every time you choose solitude over social obligation, every time you speak your truth instead of pleasing the room, every time you prioritize your inner peace over outer appearance, you reclaim a piece of your soul. Jung also said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And that's exactly what you're doing. You're meeting yourself beyond the masks, beyond the noise, beyond the performance. This isn't about being antisocial. It's about becoming whole. You're not tired of people. You're tired of hiding. Tired of translating your soul into language that others can tolerate. Tired of bending to fit molds you've outgrown. And in that sacred tiredness, something new begins. A deeper spiritual rhythm. A life built not on performance, but on presence. A way of being that no longer drains, but restores. If this message speaks to your soul, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever felt drained not by people, but by the pressure to be someone you're not? Let's talk about it below and continue uncovering what it really means to live in your truth. 4. Shadow work deepens self-awareness and sensitivity. Shadow work is not some mystical theory reserved for spiritual elitists. It is the raw, unfiltered reality of what happens when your soul begins to awaken. It doesn't come gently. It comes like a storm, ripping through everything you thought you knew about yourself. Suddenly, you're not just expanding into light. You're being dragged into the corners you spent years avoiding. The shadow isn't made of evil. It's made of everything you were told to hide. Your rage, your shame, your guilt, your unmet needs, your tears behind closed doors. As the layers peel back, you realize that what you thought was your personality was actually your protection. Carl Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." That's exactly what's unfolding. You're not just waking up. You're remembering who you were before the world told you to forget. As you begin to walk this path, a strange thing happens. You start to feel everything. Not just your emotions, but everyone else's too. You sit across from someone, and you hear their words, but your soul picks up something else entirely. You hear joy, but feel fear. You see a smile, but sense anxiety. You listen to complaints, but underneath it all, you feel a hunger for love, for peace, for understanding. You're not becoming sensitive, you're becoming honest. This level of awareness is a side effect of spiritual depth. The more you see through your own mask, the more clearly you see through everyone else's. And that's when the exhaustion begins. The parties feel shallow. The small talk feels like static. The crowds feel like poison. It's not social anxiety, it's soul recognition. Your spirit is no longer interested in noise, it's craving nourishment. You've outgrown surfaces and begun craving the ocean floor. You sit in a room full of people, but feel completely alone, not because you lack connection, but because your soul refuses to settle for anything fake. You begin walking away, not because you're cold, but because your nervous system demands stillness. You no longer have the energy to pretend, to perform, to please. You crave solitude like medicine. You begin saying no without guilt. You choose silence over chaos, truth over acceptance, discomfort over betrayal. And that's not pride, it's spiritual clarity. This is the soul reclaiming its power. You're not trying to escape others, you're trying to return to yourself. Shadow integration doesn't mean becoming flawless. It means facing your flaws without shame. You stop blaming. You stop outsourcing your worth. You look your wounds in the face and hold them like lost children returning home. You understand your triggers, not to suppress them, but to learn from them. Every time you're hurt, you lean in rather than lash out. Every time you're misunderstood, you speak less and listen more. You're learning that healing isn't loud, it's sacred. And this inner transformation unlocks something even more profound: compassion. You no longer look at people and see enemies or irritants. You see survival. You see fear masquerading as arrogance, wounds dressed up as ego. You see how people hide not to deceive, but to endure. And your heart opens. You no longer take things personally because you realize that very little was ever about you. You begin to soften, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. Even the ones who hurt you become mirrors, not to reflect your pain, but to reveal your power. You realize that every soul is fighting its own battle, and most of them are fighting blind. And somehow, knowing that makes you kinder. Your awakening stops being a personal achievement and becomes a quiet revolution. Your soul no longer wants to dominate, it wants to liberate. And so, you move through the world, less reactive, more rooted, less attached, more aware. This is what transformation feels like, not glamorous, not easy, but deeply real. Because in a world addicted to performance, your authenticity becomes your rebellion. And the soul, once silenced, finally begins to sing. Do you feel your sensitivity growing as your self-awareness deepens? Shadow work is not weakness, it's courage. If you recognize this transformation within yourself, affirm it in the comments below. I embrace my shadow and grow in truth. 5. Your nervous system is evolving alongside your consciousness. Awakening isn't just something that happens in your mind. It's not just about new thoughts or spiritual beliefs. It runs deeper than that into your nervous system, your physical body, and your energetic field. As your consciousness rises, your body begins to respond. You start to notice how certain environments make you tense, how your heart races in rooms filled with noise or surface-level chatter, and how exhausted you feel after even small conversations. This is not a weakness or social anxiety. This is your nervous system evolving to meet the sensitivity of your expanding awareness. Carl Jung once said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." And that pain often manifests physically before your mind can make sense of it. Your system is becoming more attuned to energy, to frequency, to authenticity. What once felt normal, gossip, chaos, meaningless busyness, now feels unbearable. Not because you're superior or judgmental, but because you're no longer aligned with it. The people and places that don't match your new vibration feel heavy. You're not becoming distant, you're becoming precise. This shift in sensitivity can be confusing at first. It often feels like loneliness, like you're pulling away from everything you once knew. But in reality, your body is trying to protect you from overstimulation as it learns to operate in a higher state of consciousness. Your nervous system is shedding years, maybe even decades, of noise and conditioning. And just like muscles after a workout, it needs time to rest and adjust. There's a woman named Elena who used to be deeply social, always surrounded by people. After a retreat that awakened something within her, she came back home and felt like a stranger in her own life. Her usual routines exhausted her. Her friends' conversations felt shallow. She tried to force herself to engage like she used to, but her body resisted. Eventually, she stopped resisting too. She started honoring her new rhythm, and in that silence, she found herself again. Carl Jung's teachings on individuation remind us that becoming whole means breaking away from what is false. And sometimes, what is false isn't just a mask we wear, it's the energy we've tolerated. It's the relationships we've outgrown. It's the noise we once called normal. So when your nervous system begins to reject what you used to accept, it's not regression. It's refinement. It's your soul making space for truth. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. It's a compass. It tells you when something feels off, even if you can't explain it. It guides you away from the loud and shallow, toward the deep and real. And as you keep honoring that truth, even when it makes you tired, even when it makes you lonely, you're building a kind of strength that the world rarely sees. Energetic integrity. This process of awakening through the body is sacred. It requires grace, patience, and trust. Your nervous system is not betraying you. It's guiding you toward peace, toward clarity, toward a life that no longer drains you, but nourishes you. If this message resonates with your journey, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss powerful insights like this. Your nervous system is evolving for your highest good. Comment below, "I am aligning with my new energetic self," to affirm your transformation and inspire others on the same path. 6. You begin attracting more authentic, energetically aligned relationships. As you begin to heal, there's an invisible shift that starts within you, one that doesn't announce itself loudly, but changes everything about the way you relate to the world. You no longer feel the urge to prove your worth, impress others, or win the approval of people who were never truly available to receive the real you. Something deep inside the soul starts to rise above the noise of the ego. The masks you once wore begin to feel suffocating, and instead of trying to entertain others or belong at any cost, you find yourself craving authenticity, craving stillness, craving something that speaks to the core of your being rather than to your insecurities. This is not weakness. This is power. This is the sacred turning point of spiritual awakening, when your energy field begins to refine itself and silently filters out anything or anyone that only existed to feed your need for external validation. Without even trying, your presence becomes more honest, and in that honesty, you become more powerful. But this transition does not come without discomfort. When you stop performing, the dynamic changes. Certain people start to drift away, not because you've become distant, but because the bond was never built on truth, only on the version of you they were comfortable with. When that performance ends, the illusion collapses. It's in these moments that solitude makes its entrance, not as punishment, but as divine preparation. You may find yourself surrounded by silence, but that silence is not emptiness. It is sacred ground. It is where you begin to hear the whispers of your soul more clearly than the fears that once guided your decisions. In this space, you begin to discern the difference between loneliness and alignment. You recognize that being alone doesn't mean being disconnected. It means being connected to what's real, what's eternal, and what has always been within you. Jung's wisdom reminds us that true loneliness comes not from solitude, but from the inability to speak your soul's language with those around you. And now, you're refusing to speak in betrayal of yourself. As this sacred silence stretches, your energy begins to broadcast a new frequency. No longer do you emit fear, desperation, or the longing to be seen. Instead, you radiate calm, sovereignty, and completeness. And when you carry that kind of soul-level wholeness, you don't need to chase anything that's meant for you, is drawn to you naturally. Invitations may stop coming. Texts may go unanswered. But your soul, wise beyond the mind, knows this is the clearing. This is the sacred pruning before the blossoming. It's the quiet before a deeper connection blooms, not a louder one, but a more aligned one. A soul-to-soul resonance that cannot be forced or faked. What follows is not popularity, but truth. What comes next is not noise, but depth. Real connection arrives like a quiet sunrise. It doesn't need to announce itself because its presence is undeniable. The people who appear after this recalibration feel different. There's a peacefulness in their presence, a clarity in their words, a gentle recognition that does not drain you, but restores you. You don't have to shrink, dim your light, or translate yourself into a language that distorts your soul. These new relationships are not based on performance, but presence. They don't need you to impress, entertain, or wear a mask. They simply hold space for you to be. You feel safe, not because they rescue you, but because they mirror back the strength, the healing, and the wholeness you fought to reclaim. This is what spiritual wisdom looks like in motion, not just a concept, but a lived experience where your healed self becomes the compass for your new reality. And so you allow the process to unfold. You stop running back to what wounded you, no matter how familiar it feels. You no longer fill the void with distractions or noise. You surrender to the silence and trust that your soul is doing the work. You are no longer attracting people to fill your emptiness. You are drawing in reflections of your light. You understand that this is not a loss, but a liberation. It is not the end, but the sacred beginning. The beginning of something true. The beginning of relationships that honor the real you. The beginning of a life where the soul finally leads, and everything that arrives is not just seen, but deeply felt. If this message speaks to your soul, take a deep breath and declare it now. I am ready for aligned, soul-nourishing connections. I trust what is meant for me will find me. 7. True awakening means wholeness, not superiority. Spiritual awakening is not about becoming superior to others. It's about becoming whole within yourself. The real journey begins when you stop trying to escape your pain and start embracing it as part of your story. Your spiritual path is not meant to make you feel above anyone else. That feeling of being more conscious, more aware, or more enlightened than others is not true wisdom. It's the trap of the spiritual ego. And the ego doesn't disappear just because you meditate or say affirmations. It simply puts on a new mask, often a holier one. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." That means the parts of you that you've ignored, rejected, or tried to spiritually bypass, the shame, the guilt, the inner child still grieving, these are not blocks to awakening. They are the doorway. The real transformation happens not when you rise above your humanity, but when you integrate it. You stop chasing the idea of perfection and start honoring your wounds as sacred. When you come into wholeness, your energy becomes stable. You no longer feel the need to prove anything. You are no longer triggered by people who don't get it, because you realize they're walking their own path, just like you once did. You don't need to control outcomes or convince anyone to change. Instead, your peace speaks for itself. You begin to attract people not through effort, but through presence, not through status, but through sincerity. You also begin to see that the roles you once played, the people pleaser, the overachiever, the fixer, were survival tactics, not your truth. The more you awaken, the less interested you become in playing those roles. You stop reacting from old wounds and start responding from clarity. Conversations that once excited you now feel empty. Environments that once felt like home now feel misaligned. And it's not because you're better than others. It's because you're no longer abandoning yourself to belong. This shift isn't loud. It doesn't look dramatic. It's subtle. You find yourself sitting in silence more. You feel less urgency to be understood. You're not running away from the world, but you're no longer ruled by it either. You become rooted in something deeper, your own essence. And from this grounded state, you emit a calm, loving, magnetic energy. Some will be drawn to it. Others will misunderstand it. But you no longer take it personally. You've stopped living to be received. You're living to be real. Wholeness is when your inner child, your present self, and your higher self are all sitting at the same table, finally seen, finally heard, finally loved. You are not fragmented. You are not pretending. You are simply being. And in that being, there is power. A quiet, unshakable power. Not because you have risen above the world, but because you have descended into the depths of your own soul and found peace even there. That is the essence of true spiritual awakening. To affirm your dedication to true awakening, declare your commitment to inner wholeness, not superiority. Comment below. I choose wholeness over ego. To honor your journey and inspire others to walk this path with humility, compassion, and truth. And maybe that's the part no one tells you, that awakening doesn't always feel like light and love at first. Sometimes it feels like distance, like silence, like pulling away from the noise so you can finally hear your own soul. But this shift isn't disconnection, it's realignment. You're not losing people, you're finding yourself. If this message spoke to something deep within you, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who may need it, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. Tap the notification bell so you never miss a moment of truth, healing, and awakening. Your journey is sacred, and we're honored to walk it with you. 7 things spiritually awakened people quickly quit. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. Have you ever felt like certain habits or patterns were quietly holding you back? Spiritually awakened people don't just grow, they shed. In today's video from Spiritual Wisdom, we're diving into 7 powerful things that awakened souls instinctively let go of on their journey to deeper peace, purpose, and inner power. These aren't just spiritual ideas. They are life-changing choices that anyone can apply. Which of these have you already released from your life? Let us know in the comments, and if something resonates with you, don't forget to share this with someone on the same path. Let's grow together. 1. Toxic relationships. In the path of spiritual awakening, an essential milestone is learning to recognize and step away from toxic relationships. Picture yourself on a journey towards inner peace and self-improvement, yet you encounter people who continually drain your energy and bring unnecessary turmoil into your life. In Stoicism, there is a strong emphasis on controlling our reactions and maintaining tranquility, regardless of external influences. This mindset is especially useful when dealing with toxic individuals. Toxic relationships involve people who consistently project negativity into our lives. They may be friends, family members, or colleagues who thrive on conflict or subtly erode our confidence and hinder our personal development. These types of connections can seriously affect our mental and emotional well-being. Much like trying to build on unstable ground, no matter how hard you try, the foundation remains weak. Consider the case of Sarah, a young professional focused on advancing her career. She has a colleague, Lisa, who constantly criticizes her work and fosters a hostile office environment. Sarah initially attempts to overlook Lisa's behavior, hoping it will improve. However, as the negativity persists, Sarah begins to feel overwhelmed and demotivated, impacting both her performance and peace of mind. It isn't until Sarah acknowledges the detrimental effects of this toxic dynamic and establishes boundaries that she regains her sense of balance and clarity. Reflect on your own relationships and encounters. Are there individuals who leave you feeling depleted or undervalued? Identifying these toxic influences is not about casting blame, but protecting your own well-being. By creating distance from such relationships, you not only safeguard your peace, but also open the door to healthier, more supportive connections that align with your spiritual awakening. Breaking free from toxic relationships can be challenging, but it's a crucial step in fostering your spiritual growth. It requires both bravery and self-awareness to recognize when a relationship no longer aligns with your best interests. Keep in mind, setting boundaries isn't about cutting people off abruptly. It's about making decisions that nurture your inner peace and well-being. If this resonates with you, let me know by commenting "Awakened" below. Your engagement helps us explore more aspects of spiritual growth and empowerment together. By addressing toxic relationships, you clear the path for a more peaceful and fulfilling life. This step not only enhances your spiritual awakening, but also mirrors the Stoic philosophy of focusing on your own responses and maintaining inner calm. Embrace the process of identifying and moving away from negativity as a vital part of your personal and spiritual evolution. 2. Ego-driven desires. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the race for material success, recognition, and external validation. However, as you embark on a spiritual journey, it becomes evident that these pursuits, often driven by ego, tend to feel shallow and short-lived. Spiritual awakening urges you to shift your focus away from seeking approval from others and instead cultivate inner virtues and a sense of purpose. This transformation means valuing your character and personal growth over chasing surface-level accomplishments. Imagine someone who's always striving for promotions, likes on social media, and the admiration of others. While each milestone might offer a fleeting sense of achievement, the satisfaction quickly fades. In contrast, those on a path of spiritual awakening find lasting fulfillment by focusing on their inner development. This shift is similar to the teachings of Stoicism, where virtues such as wisdom and integrity take precedence over the pursuit of status and recognition. As you let go of these ego-driven desires, you begin to align more with your authentic self, making it easier to navigate difficult relationships, like those involving narcissistic personalities. Consider a modern example: a high-powered executive who's always chasing after more influence and recognition. They may have the prestigious job title and an enviable salary, yet they feel an underlying sense of emptiness. On the other hand, someone who prioritizes self-awareness and personal growth may live a simpler life, but experiences deeper, more lasting satisfaction. This change in mindset isn't about giving up ambition, but rather about redirecting it. By focusing on values like compassion, honesty, and humility, you come to realize that true happiness and contentment are found within, not from external achievements. As you reflect on your own journey, ask yourself, are your current goals driven by a need for external validation or a true sense of purpose? This reflection can help you identify where you might be prioritizing temporary desires over long-lasting values. The key takeaway here is to redirect your focus from seeking approval to fostering inner virtues. By embracing this change, you enrich your own life and improve your relationships, even with those who may not have your best interests at heart. Start this journey towards spiritual growth, and you'll find greater fulfillment and balance in life. If this message resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe and turn on notifications. Join our community as we dive deeper into aligning with our true selves and finding meaning from within. 3. The need for control. One of the key insights on the journey to spiritual awakening is the release of the need to control. In today's fast-paced world, where unpredictability and chaos often dominate, many find themselves clinging tightly to control as a way of managing stress and uncertainty. This desire to micromanage every situation and influence the actions of others can lead to a great deal of frustration and exhaustion. Ancient philosophies like Stoicism offer a timeless perspective on this challenge. They suggest that real freedom and peace come from accepting what lies beyond our control and focusing on what we can, primarily our own thoughts, emotions, and actions. Spiritually awakened individuals internalize this wisdom by surrendering their efforts to control external events or the behavior of others. Instead, they shift their focus inward, working to refine their responses to life's inevitable challenges and uncertainties. This doesn't mean they become passive or disengaged. Rather, it reflects a deep alignment with the natural rhythms of life, embracing its uncertainties with grace. By channeling their energy into self-awareness and self-mastery, they cultivate a sense of peace and resilience that transforms how they move through the world. In the context of our modern existence, this approach holds immense value. The relentless pursuit of control, whether in our careers or relationships, often leaves us feeling drained and disconnected. By loosening our grip on the need for control, we create space for more authentic connections and a richer, more meaningful experience of life. This shift also nurtures greater empathy and understanding, as it allows us to see beyond our own desires for certainty and embrace the unpredictable beauty of life. Adopting this mindset not only enhances personal tranquility, but also improves how we relate to others. It fosters a sense of openness and flexibility that makes navigating life's challenges less burdensome. When we release the constant urge to control, we step into a more spiritually aligned and harmonious existence. Are you ready to release the need for control and invite more peace and fulfillment into your life? If so, comment, "I am open to acceptance," and join this journey of transformation. Let's embrace the flow of life and discover inner peace together. 4. Fear of change. Letting go of the fear of change is essential for anyone seeking spiritual growth. Change can be intimidating, but for those on a path of spiritual awakening, learning to accept and flow with it is crucial. Drawing inspiration from Stoicism, which teaches that change is a natural and unavoidable part of existence, we come to realize that embracing change brings peace and emotional strength. In today's fast-paced world, resisting change often leads to stress, frustration, and unnecessary conflict, particularly when interacting with difficult people. However, by shifting our mindset and seeing change as an opportunity for growth, we can remain calm and grounded no matter what life throws our way. This shift in perspective not only improves personal relationships, but also paves the way for new experiences and opportunities. In the modern world, change is not just inevitable, but constant. Whether it's a new chapter in your career, shifts in relationships, or the uncertainty of daily life, those who embrace change can navigate transitions with greater ease and resilience. Stoic philosophy reminds us that while we cannot control everything around us, we can control how we respond. By focusing on the areas of life we can influence and letting go of what we cannot, we create a foundation of inner stability and purpose. This mindset is especially useful in today's unpredictable environments. Rather than clinging to old habits or fearing new challenges, spiritually awakened people see change as a path to personal growth and transformation. Additionally, recognizing that change is a natural part of life helps us deal more effectively with difficult situations and people. Instead of reacting with frustration or fear, a spiritually awakened person approaches these challenges with calm and adaptability. This outlook not only strengthens personal relationships, but also deepens self-awareness and emotional resilience. When we accept change with an open heart, we can move through life's ups and downs more gracefully, leading to a richer, more spiritually aligned existence. To conclude, the journey of spiritual awakening requires us to release fear and welcome change as an essential element of growth. By embracing the wisdom of Stoicism in our daily lives, we can transform how we face challenges and interact with the world, leading to a more balanced and enlightened way of being. Remember, change is not an obstacle, but a gift, an opportunity for self-development and spiritual evolution. Are you ready to embrace this shift and unlock your potential? If you're committed to welcoming change and leaving fear behind, drop an "I embrace change" in the comments. Join us on this path to spiritual growth and learn to face life's transitions with grace and strength. 5. Negative self-talk. Let's explore a crucial aspect of spiritual awakening: breaking free from negative self-talk. As you embark on your path of manifestation, it becomes vital to understand how your internal dialogue shapes your reality. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, "I'm not capable," or "this is too hard for me"? These aren't just fleeting thoughts. They form the foundation of your beliefs, influencing your actions and, in turn, your ability to manifest what you truly desire. As Buddha wisely stated, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. Transforming these negative dialogues into positive affirmations is the key to unlocking your highest potential. Think of your mind as fertile soil. Each thought you entertain acts as a seed that takes root. Negative self-talk plants seeds of doubt and limitation, while positive affirmations cultivate growth, opportunity, and self-belief. By consistently replacing critical thoughts with empowering statements like "I am strong" or "I am worthy of success," you shift the narrative of your inner world. Over time, this practice aligns you with a mindset of abundance, making space for your goals to materialize. This process aligns closely with Stoic philosophy, which encourages mastering one's inner world. Just as the Stoics believed in controlling their responses and emotions, you too can train your mind to foster positivity and self-belief. Ask yourself, how often do you find your thoughts filled with self-doubt or insecurity? These thoughts aren't merely words, but are potent forces that shape your experience of the world. As Wayne Dyer wisely noted, you cannot control your life if you allow your mind to control you. By deliberately replacing negative thoughts with affirmations, you recondition your mind to support your journey of manifestation. This transformation takes time, but through consistent practice, it becomes second nature, leading to more effective manifestations. Consider how a child learns to ride a bike. They may fall countless times, but with persistence, they eventually succeed. In the same way, replacing negative self-talk with positive affirmations requires time and commitment. It's a process of retraining your brain to default to thoughts that support your goals. With practice, your mind will naturally align with opportunities instead of obstacles, and you'll begin to see the path to your desires open up before you. Marianne Williamson said it best: "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure." By silencing your inner critic and amplifying positive affirmations, you unlock your true power and set the stage for your manifestations to come to life. So how do you begin this shift today? Start by becoming mindful of your self-talk. Affirm to yourself, "I am rising above all negativity." When you notice a negative thought creeping in, consciously replace it with a positive one. For instance, if you catch yourself thinking, "I always fail," transform it into, "I am learning and growing with each experience." Keep a journal of your affirmations and review them regularly to reinforce this mindset. Over time, positive self-talk will become your natural habit, empowering your journey of manifestation and bringing you closer to your goals. Remember, the road to spiritual awakening and manifestation begins within. By recognizing and transforming negative self-talk, you attune yourself to the positive energy necessary to create the life you desire. As you embrace this inner transformation, you'll discover a stronger, more confident version of yourself, ready to attract abundance and joy. Are you prepared to fill your mind with positivity and watch your manifestations unfold? The power to create the life you envision is already within you. Welcome it with faith and conviction. 6. Societal expectations. The next shift that spiritually awakened individuals undergo is the decision to break free from societal expectations. In a world where success is often measured by status, wealth, and external accomplishments, spiritually aligned people choose to prioritize their inner values over these external standards. They realize that true satisfaction comes not from conforming to what society deems successful, but from living authentically and faithfully to their core beliefs and purpose. For example, while the world may praise high-paying jobs or the latest technological gadgets, spiritually awakened people find deeper satisfaction in pursuing a path that aligns with their values, even if it challenges conventional norms. Another important shift involves releasing the need for external validation. In today's digital age, where likes, shares, and followers can determine a person's self-worth, the pressure to be approved can be overwhelming. Spiritually awakened individuals realize that their worth comes from within, not from the opinions of others. This realization fosters a strong sense of self, rooted in confidence and inner peace, rather than the pursuit of validation from external sources. A significant shift also occurs in how spiritually awakened individuals view comparison and competition. In a society that often measures success by how we compare ourselves to others, whether it's in our careers or personal achievements, breaking free from this way of thinking is liberating. Spiritually awakened individuals embrace their own unique journey, releasing the stress of constantly competing with others and cultivating a sense of fulfillment and peace with their own progress. Furthermore, those on the spiritual path will move away from materialism. In modern culture, success is often seen as the accumulation of wealth and possessions, but spiritual awakening teaches that true abundance comes from meaningful experiences, personal growth, and nurturing relationships. This shift allows spiritually awakened individuals to focus on what truly enriches their lives, rather than being consumed by the pursuit of material wealth. Re-evaluating relationships is another important shift for those undergoing spiritual growth. This process often involves evaluating which relationships support their growth and which relationships drain their energy. Letting go of relationships that no longer serve their spiritual path allows them to cultivate an environment filled with uplifting, supportive people who encourage their personal growth. Mindfulness and self-care also become a priority. In a fast-paced society that often glorifies constant activity and neglects the importance of well-being, spiritually awakened individuals recognize the need to prioritize activities like meditation, reflection, and self-care. By focusing on their mental and emotional health, they find more balance and live with more purpose and clarity. Ultimately, the fear of failure or the unknown begins to fade. Spiritual awakening inspires a sense of confidence and courage, encouraging people to face their fears instead of letting them control their decisions. By embracing uncertainty and stepping out of their comfort zone, spiritually awakened individuals open themselves up to new growth and opportunities. Ultimately, spiritual awakening is about releasing societal expectations and choosing a path that aligns with personal values and inner truth. By letting go of the need for validation, comparison, materialism, and fear, people can live more authentic and fulfilling lives. As you continue on your spiritual journey, reflect on how these changes can help you deepen your connection to yourself and your purpose. If these ideas resonate with you, leave a comment saying, "I am ready to live authentically," to declare your commitment to breaking free from societal norms and living a life that reflects your true self. 7. Material obsession. Many individuals, upon experiencing spiritual awakening, quickly come to the realization that their preoccupation with material wealth and possessions no longer serves their higher purpose. It's not simply about letting go of physical items. It's about embracing a deeper understanding of what truly holds value in life. As Buddha insightfully remarked, attachment is the root of suffering. By releasing the attachment to material goods, you align yourself more closely with the Stoic idea of focusing on what genuinely matters. This shift allows you to face life's challenges with greater calm and perspective, knowing that your worth is not determined by what you own, but by who you are and the intentions you bring to the world. Consider how much energy you invest in acquiring the latest phone, car, or designer clothing. Does this constant pursuit of more add to your peace of mind? Or does it drain your ability to focus on deeper, more meaningful goals? By shifting your attention from accumulating material possessions to fostering inner growth and spiritual enrichment, you open yourself to a life that is more fulfilling and aligned with your true self. Letting go of this fixation creates space for richer experiences and more authentic connections, nurturing both your personal journey and your overall well-being. This idea ties back to the law of attraction, which suggests that what we focus on expands. When you're consumed by the need for material things, you're projecting an energy that craves external validation. On the other hand, when you prioritize inner development and the manifestation of your true desires, you harmonize with a more balanced and satisfying energy. It's about finding joy in the present moment rather than endlessly seeking something outside of yourself. Steve Jobs once said, "The only way to do great work is to love what you do." This principle applies to life as a whole. True fulfillment comes not from what we acquire, but from what we love and value in our lives. Are you ready to explore how freeing yourself from material obsession can elevate your life and align you with your highest potential? If so, comment, "I'm embracing my inner growth," as a commitment to this transformative journey. Let's walk this path together and align ourselves with our true purpose. Reflect on what truly brings joy and fulfillment, and ask yourself if your attachment to material things is preventing you from reaching your full potential. This journey requires acknowledging that your worth is not determined by what you have, but by the energy and intentions you put into the world. As you move forward, remember that growth is a process, not a destination. Allow yourself the freedom to evolve, and trust that by releasing material concerns, you will invite more meaningful experiences and deeper connections into your life. When you focus on personal development and the manifestation of your true desires, you not only transform your own life, but also positively impact those around you. The change you seek starts from within, and as you align your actions with your deepest values, you'll find that the universe responds in powerful ways. In this video, we explored 7 key shifts that spiritually awakened people quickly embrace, such as letting go of toxic relationships, releasing the need for control, and moving away from ego-driven desires. These transformations lead to a more peaceful and authentic life, where inner growth takes precedence over societal pressures and material obsessions. As you reflect on these insights, consider how you can apply them to your daily life to foster personal growth and happiness. Which of these changes resonates most with you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us at Spiritual Wisdom for more transformative content on your spiritual journey.